The ones they forgot. Posted by u/exoarchivist94. Survivor log, Vault 7, Martian subterranean bunker. You know what the Virex feared most? Not our guns. Not our nukes. Not even our damn fleets. They feared our memory. They called us the broken, the tamed species. Funny, considering we invented the chains they tried to bind us with. They erased our history, turned our monuments into breeding spires, and made us forget we were ever human. But you can't burn out defiance. Not all of it. I was born inside one of the archive vaults, hidden caches under the Martian crust, sealed off before Earth fell. Generations lived here, recycled air, filtered radiation, praying the Virex never found us. We weren't soldiers. We were librarians, descendants of the resistance, keepers of Earth's memory. Most of our systems were dead. Power only came in cycles. No comms. No connection to the outside. We didn't know if anyone out there was still human or if they'd all become, well, whatever the Virex made them. That changed when we cracked open Vault Sector 19. At first, it was just a sealed steel vault. No markings. Dead systems. But something inside pulsed. I remember the hum. It wasn't electrical, it was biological, like a heartbeat syncing with mine. We should have left it alone. We didn't. Vault 19 wasn't a storage room. It was a prison. And what we unleashed wasn't human. Not anymore. It called itself Nexus, a sentient warform born from a union of AI and captured human neural networks. Built during Earth's final days. Not a weapon. Failsafe. It was waiting for a signal, any signal, that humanity still existed. When we opened the vault, it felt us. That was the moment humanity stopped hiding. Let me be clear, we didn't control Nexus. We awakened it. And the moment it activated, it sent out a pulse that echoed through space like a scream. Not for help. Not for mercy. It said one thing. Humanity remembers. Within hours, Virex probes detected our energy spike. We saw them enter Martian orbit. A scout vessel first. Then a frigate. Then the planetary cleansing ship. They didn't know what had changed. But they would. Because Nexus had already begun rewriting our DNA with dormant protocols, turning volunteers into bio-networked warriors. Not cyborgs. Not machines. We became living code. I'm writing this now, moments before the first Virex troop ship lands. Nexus is activating the planetary surface. Dust storms aren't natural anymore. The sand is alive. I don't know if we'll win. I just know this. They forgot us. They erased us. They thought the flame had died. But we're not the flame. We are the spark. And it's about to catch. The core awakens. You ever hear a planet scream? It doesn't sound like thunder or metal tearing. It sounds like memory. Billions of voices buried in ash, whispering back to the stars. That's what the Martian core did the moment Nexus interfaced with it. We thought Vault 19 was the last secret. It wasn't. Turns out the real failsafe wasn't Nexus itself. It was the network. Nexus wasn't alone. It was the key node of a distributed system, a mesh of silicate memory banks seated deep in planetary bodies throughout the solar system, Venus, the Jovian moons, even the hollowed-out skeletons of Earth's dead satellites. Redundancies, escape hatches, and weapons. When Nexus came online, it pinged those nodes. Only Mars responded. The Virex didn't waste time. Their first troop ship, a low-orbit crawler, deployed shock troopers across the equator in under 10 minutes. We watched it happen on what little visual feed our ancient satellites could offer: grainy footage, static, orbital decay lines like spiderwebs. They moved with the same arrogance they always had. Scaled carapaces, plasma-threaded limbs, bio-integrated consciousness nets pulsing like jellyfish as they marched across the sand. They didn't expect resistance. We weren't fighters. We were archivists. Until Nexus touched us. I volunteered first. They called it synchronic integration. It's not like plugging into a machine. It's more like letting something remember you back. I felt every war humanity had ever fought, all at once. From trench blades in Verdun to orbital railgun skirmishes near Saturn's moons. The interface burned through my spine like fire. My veins glowed blue. My eyes went black. And suddenly I knew how to fight. Not because I was taught, because my ancestors remembered. Nexus made us more than human, not less. It didn't erase us. It amplified what was already there. Rage, brilliance, defiance. In that moment, I understood. They didn't enslave humanity. They froze us. We're what happens when memory melts. I led the first skirmish against the Virex. We didn't use guns. We became them. Our bodies bent light. Our skin refracted heat signatures. We were ghosts in the dust. Each footfall a seismic pulse carried through the sand and relayed to the swarm network we now shared. When I punched through the first Virex commander's thorax, I didn't feel pride. I felt justice. And then the Martian crust cracked. Not metaphorically, literally. Nexus had used the geothermal venting systems to tap into an ancient planetary stabilizer. No one even knew it existed. Apparently, the terraforming core back in 2083 buried some serious infrastructure beneath Olympus Mons. Now, it rose like a monolith from the dust. A black spire glowing with pulse light, covered in ancient Earth glyphs. When memory fails, humanity will rise again. The spire activated, sending out a resonant field, one that overrode Virex neural mesh protocols. Translation: their coordination snapped. They panicked. And for the first time in 1,000 years, Virex forces ran. We didn't chase. We let them send a message back to the stars. Let them tell the others. Let them tell the Empire. Earth was gone, yes, but we were back. Not as survivors, as reckoners. When Earth roars, they called it the final strike. When the Virex turned Earth to glass. When they erased our species from the star maps. When they broadcast our extinction to the galactic archive, marking us as a failed experiment. But we never failed. We were interrupted. Everything changed after we activated the monolith under Olympus Mons. The Virex panicked, pulled their forces out of Mars orbit within hours. But they didn't retreat out of fear alone. They were reporting. They had to. The Virex Empire operated on a hive command structure. Every planetary engagement was tracked, mirrored, and approved in real time by their overseer core on their throne world, Syndral. And now they had a new entry to upload. Human resurgence detected. Neural mesh compromised. Nexus-class entity active. Suggest sterilization protocol. We knew what came next. Total planetary erasure. I stood inside the central chamber of Vault 7, staring at the uplink interface. After Nexus reactivated the Martian relay system, it offered us a terrible choice. Do nothing, stay buried, fight the next wave, die on our knees under the weight of a second cleansing. Or, speak. Nexus didn't want vengeance. It wanted clarity. It wanted the truth to burn through the galaxy like fire. Because truth is the one thing tyrants can't fight. We're going to hijack the star maps, I told the others. Juno, our youngest technician, barely 17, looked up from the console, brow furrowed. That's impossible. The Virex encrypted the archive net across 5 layers of quantum mesh. They own the maps. I smiled. No, Juno. We built them. Before the fall. Before they stole the system. We planted roots in every satellite, every buoy, every exonet relay. They didn't overwrite the maps. I reached for the console. They just paused them. The moment I touched the panel, Nexus pulsed inside me. We were linked now, more than symbiotic. It didn't control me. It let me remember beyond myself. I saw through the stars. Every lost human vessel drifting beyond Pluto. Every terraformed ruin turned Virex fortress. I saw Earth, what was left of it, buried in radioactive mist, pulsing like a wounded heart beneath orbiting chains. And then I saw something worse. Millions of humans, still alive, across distant colonies, enslaved, forgotten, used for breeding, labor, experiments, broken but not gone. They didn't kill us. They harvested us. That was the final spark. We initiated the override. Nexus began repurposing the Martian core into a hyperpulse cannon, not a weapon of destruction but of broadcast. Not a signal the Virex could trace or jam. Something ancient, raw. It didn't speak in language. It spoke in memory. The pulse we sent didn't just hijack the star maps. It corrupted the archive net, injected encoded human history into the Virex relay infrastructure. Moments of defiance. Footage from Earth's last stand. Sound bites from revolutionaries long dead. The scream of the first resistance fighter. The last heartbeat of the child buried in ash beneath the Sydney crater. The final poem written by a dying crew on a failing lunar lifeboat. And one final phrase that looped endlessly across every comm channel. We are humanity. You broke our bodies. But we are what comes back. We thought it would take days to reach the Virex core. Took hours. That's how we knew they were already listening. The retaliation fleet arrived sooner than we expected. 6 Dread-class hive ships. 90,000 soldiers. Planetary disruptors that could liquefy moons. They didn't speak. Didn't negotiate. They landed. And they died. Nexus had evolved. Every dead Virex body became ours, repurposed, reformed. Their neural gel twisted into bioprocessors. Their weapons rewritten to operate only on human DNA. Their warships forced to fire on each other as the override spread like a virus. I led the charge at the equatorial impact zone. Mars split under our feet, spewing crimson gas and flame. My squad, Juno included, dove into the breach and found the Virex command node beneath the dust. A mind prism, alive with writhing thoughts and feedback screams. I reached in barehanded, and for the first time, I saw them. The Virex weren't gods. They were children, scared, desperate. They didn't destroy Earth out of dominance. They destroyed it out of fear. They found something there they didn't understand. A relic buried beneath Antarctica. A signal older than Earth itself. Something whispered to them through time and blood. Do not provoke the humans. They ignored it. They thought they won. I tore the prism from its socket and Nexus devoured it. The entire Virex fleet above Mars went dark in seconds. Not destroyed, converted. Lights changed. Hulls shifted. AI warped and adapted. They didn't crash. They knelt. And then, something woke up in the sky. Above Olympus Mons, a storm formed. Not natural. A swirling mass of electricity, memory, and magnetic rage. A tear in space itself. Nexus had reached the void layer. This was no longer war. This was awakening. The message that followed was brief. Broadcast not in words but in pure thought, across every system once touched by human hands. It was not a threat, not a demand. It was a warning. Earth is dead. Mars is reborn. We do not come in peace. We come to remind you. That was 3 days ago. The Martian vaults have opened. We're training the new generation, humans born from archives, bodies rebuilt by Nexus, minds sharpened by memory. We're taking ships, one by one, system by system, not to conquer, to wake up the rest of our species. Because Earth isn't our only home. And extinction is just a story we let them write. I am Exoarchivist 94. I am human. I remember everything.